everybody. Welcome back to the unfiltered, unedited, uncensored, and commercial-free Sharks podcast that is the Pucknologists here on Teal Town, USA. Dear Lord, show 146. We got 3 games this week, and the Sharks went 2-1 during those games. We're going to get into those, bat a few topics around, and dare to acknowledge reality, unlike the people working Sharks pre and post. But first, we have to tell you, remember to subscribe, follow us on social media. If you'd like to help support the content we deliver, you can always use that super chat option to donate during live shows. We do prefer the Venmo option. You can find us at TL Town USA on Venmo, and we thank you for that support. And if you are not watching live on YouTube, make sure to add your take in the comment section of this video. All right? We cool. So let's get into these. And hey now, look at that. We got ourselves a special guest. And wow, my camera is way off. There we go. Oh, I love technology so much. So, Ian Reed, what's happening, buddy? Why can I not hear Ian Reed?
Because I muted myself.
There it is.
There we go. Thanks for having me on. Good to be here.
All right, then. Jerkman, you're here all the time. What do you think?
You know what? We had last week off, and it was a good thing because nothing happened. So glad to be back.
It was nice, wasn't it?
The things that happened this week, I don't know if it was the best things, but they were things.
Things happened. Oh, let's get into it. So your Sharks weekly wrap. Oh, my Lord. 33 games into the season. The Sharks are 17, 15, and 1 for 35 points. 33 games a season ago, they had 30 points. 13, 16, and 4. So same point last year. So for all the changes, the Sharks are 5 points better with league average goaltending and a focus on defense. Okay, then.
The goal scoring is worse, though, worth mentioning.
You are not wrong, sir. So with 35 points, the Sharks sit 5th in the Pacific Division. They have gone 2-3 in their last 5 games, 4 of which being at home, by the way. Of the 2 wins, of course, it took them going to overtime to win both of them, not really taking advantage of the December schedule as they went 3-4 and went 2-2 in divisional games. The good news, they're a point away from the wild card spot. The bad news, there's a shit ton of games in hand with the teams in front of them. So this week, look, I did really good on my picks. I went 3 for 3. It was good. 33 games. I had them at 18 and 15. Right now, they're 17, 15, and 1. That's pretty goddamn good the last time I looked. But as you talked about, it's been a couple of weeks of and the 3 games were postponed, and it seemed like half the team went on the COVID protocol. I mean, Hertl, Dahlin, Weatherby, Burns, Kane, everybody got the Rona. The best part being, though, that Weatherby had to drive back from San Jose with Chichek. Drive back to San Jose from Loveland, Colorado. That's a 19-hour drive for those.
I was going to say, that is not quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Jesus. So versus Vancouver, versus Edmonton, at Anaheim, all of those postponed. So we start with Sharks at Arizona. This is a 8-7 victory in the shootout. James Reimer versus who? Wedgwood? Who? Of course, the best part of this is Nick Merkley getting absolutely hosed. Bugner, during the morning media session, said, yeah, I've got Nick. He's going to be centering the 4th line. Nick looking forward to it, proving himself against the team that drafted him. And oh, shit, sorry, we're going to scratch you for Peterson. Oh, wow.
I want to know, I want to know what Lane Peterson has on Bob Bugner.
Dude.
Honestly, I don't, and the worst player in the NHL is really good at hockey, but holy crap, sure. Lane Peterson has somehow brought less than nothing to the table. I don't know how he stays in the lineup.
Yeah, I completely agree. Lane Peterson's a guy that I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand the whole 4th line right now. I understand Gadjevich. I understand VL on their own. I don't understand the combination of the two.
Yeah. How many of these guys do we really need?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if someone would have punched someone on Pittsburgh in the face today, they would have won, right?
Probably. Right.
So they say.
So they say. I mean, I'm surprised that wasn't the talking point. Well, if they would have punched someone in the face, then things would have been better. Like I understand like having guys in the lineup that can tussle. Like I'm not like a hockey prude. I'm not anti fighting. I think that fighting's impact on the game is incredibly overstated, but I still like watching a good scrap. That makes me a monster, so be it. I'm a CTE monster. Like I still like watching a good scrap. But like I don't understand how you put both of those guys in the lineup and then put Pettersson between them. Like if the Sharks are supposed to be a meritocracy, and we'll talk about that more later in the show when we get to some of the other games, I don't understand how Peterson's centering the fourth line.
Well, Jerk, how badly would you like to see James Neal centering the fourth line?
I mean, he's not a natural center, but I bet he would be all right there.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm like, I don't know. I mean, everything we know about waivers, right? James Neal is probably going to go unclaimed tomorrow, but
then someone will trade like 3 picks for him.
Yeah, and I'd take a chance. Why not? He's making league minimum. Who cares?
Well, dude, go back and look. Every time he gets traded to a team, that team like does really well.
Yeah, I mean, he scored
historically.
I mean, the last few years have been not so great, but prior to 2018-19, he scored 20 or more goals 10 years in a row. Like,
but it's
for
just
a team,
every time
for a team
he gets,
that needs goals, like
every time he gets traded to a team, they all of a sudden make the playoffs. But whatever.
Yeah.
This is a game. What? This is Hobgawaks, his like NHL debut, right?
Against the Coyotes?
Yeah, was it? Or was that his second game?
No, that was his second game.
Oh, it was see, this is what happens when you take 2 weeks off, man. I get lost. Either way, look at the end of the first, you could hear it because there weren't a lot of fans at SAP Center, unfortunately, but you could hear like Karlsson just barking at Middleton, and then that carried on. And it was great that they showed it on TV. You could see as they're going into the dressing room after the first period, Middleton like turned around and Karlsson flinched. Like Middleton was like, "Dude, do I need to stick my mustache on you? Like, shut up."
Well, but you know what though? Since that tongue lashing, Middleton's got 1 goal, 3 assists. So, maybe Karlsson deserves that A after all.
Dude, can he go like bark at Meier?
No, he needs to go yell at Peterson.
Vlasic. But I mean, this is ridiculous. The Sharks unfortunately cough up a 2-goal lead 3 separate times in this one. Yikes. But the storyline for me was like, look, can you get too excited about beating the worst team in the NHL in a shootout?
Yes.
I
mean, if the Sharks lost this game, that's what everybody's going to be talking about. Like,
true.
Yeah, it was ugly, but they got the 2 points, and Arizona's not a divisional rival anymore, so who cares? And they're also bad, so double who cares? It's a win, and I'm happy.
Yeah, I think like after a game like that, this is a game where you just burn the tape, right? Like win, lose, draw. You obviously not draw because you can't tie in the NHL, but you burn the tape because win or lose, like there's not a whole lot to really take from it. I mean, good on them for sticking with it and getting the win in overtime and not just, rolling over after giving up so many leads. But I mean, at the end of this one, you just burn the tape.
Burn the tape, but man, there was some stupidity. The fact it was Brent Burns, right? That like took a stupid ass cross-checking penalty with 2:30 left in the game when you have that lead. And it's like, what the hell are you doing? And then Ladd parked alone in front of Reimer, and Ladd gets like a couple chances at it to tie the game up. And it's what the hell are you doing? And I do believe we have the video here of EK65. His controller broke You know, he's like you see Nieto rushing in, trying to make a difference. Hertl rushing in, trying to make a difference. Karlsson going, yep, I think that's going in.
I mean, in his defense, that was not his guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you would think kind of like, oh shit, somebody messed up. I need to get in there.
No, for sure. You're right. During that, there, especially when you recognize that your partner, in that case, Vlasic, you recognize that your partner is at a position like you gotta even honestly, even if Karlsson had just literally skated into the guy, you know, like
Exactly.
just do something.
And Karlsson Vlasic on the kill is a choice. I'm not sure what kind of choice it is, but wow, it's a choice. Like it's something.
Either way, Sharks can't hold a 2-goal lead 3 different times. Special teams was okay, fine. You know, 0 for 1, but they killed the one penalty they had to deal with, whatever. Attendance is something we're tracking. 11,450 on this one. That's not great. But
I wonder if there was no postponements, if it was just better because people were just kind of happy that there was finally a game again, even if it was the Coyotes.
Yeah. True that.
And I was at this game too, and let me tell you,
here we go.
This was the stupidest game I've ever seen in my entire life.
Now, why do you say that?
Well, and like I said before, I'm happy to get the win, obviously, but Arizona is the worst team in the league this year, and they've put their name on the sign-up sheet for worst team in the salary cap era. Like, what? Why is this?
Hashtag your Yotes.
Why is this an 8-7 shootout game? Like, you know, like after the Sharks had made it 5-3, that should have been it. It should have been in. You shut it down. You get an empty net in the third period, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
It should have been it. But then, as we know, Arizona found a way to score 4 goals, and you know, I give the Sharks credit for, like you said, Ian, they didn't get rattled, and they were able to re-extend their lead every time it got cut. But goddamn, you got to shut it down.
Yeah, and it's like, and you can get saucy at Reimer, right? Like, because obviously it's a lot of goals to allow in a game, but I mean, he faced almost 50 shots too.
Yeah, giving up
like
that many shots to the worst
for a defense first team, is that normal? Because that's all I keep hearing is defense first. I mean, if this is defense first, defense first at what level? Pee-wee?
Well, and I think too, what's interesting to mention as well, you know, it's supposed to be defense first, yet you look at the top 2 pairs compared to the bottom pair, and there's a pretty major discrepancy there on the minutes played.
Just a scotch.
You know, we're obviously going to get into it when we talk more about Vlasic, but I mean, 13 minutes at $7 million.
You are so right. And I will say one of the funniest things about this one, at least for me, is the fact that this is a ESPN game, national game. So, sorry, I'm not a big fan of Leah Hextall. What's the cat's name for Arizona? Yannick?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay. I think I heard her pronounce that Janique. So I don't know. It certainly wasn't the pronunciation I was used to. But either way, it's like, okay, it's an ESPN game. So you know what? I'm syncing up the boys. I'm going to hear Rusanowski and Smitty. And they were great. They were fantastic. But it is somewhat kind of funny as they're going to commercial. You hear Rusanowski saying, hey, you know, tune into one of our great radio affiliates as long as you're not in the Bay Area. We don't have radio where we play, but whatever. So after that, the Sharks faced the Philadelphia Flyers. I think Ian probably hoped that Jones is going to get a start in this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them for not starting Jones. Like, I think Jones will get the start when we play them later this week in Philly, but
yeah.
I think Jones probably has so much PTSD from playing an SAP that I wouldn't ever start there.
I mean, Felix Sandstrom, he does get his first NHL start for the Flyers, but if you go and look, it was announced really late. You know,
Yep.
like, I think they were kind of like, well, I'm not sure, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But
Well, he did play the night before in Seattle too.
yes, but
So there was that kind of put the doubt in my mind that he was going to get the start in San Jose.
but it's a 3-2 overtime win, and the thing about this one, at least for me, was Couture scoring shorthanded. If that doesn't happen, you know, I think the Flyers take this one in regulation. You just go, holy fuck, man.
That was a nice goal too.
It was weird because I thought like for large stretches of the game, like I thought the Sharks controlled play. Like this is, I know they won, but I was really angry after this game. Like they won, but they won in the most painful way possible.
Yeah.
Like the Flyers start their third string guy who's not even a good AHL goalie, let alone like an NHL goalie, right? Like with the way that they pushed play and just couldn't put the puck in the net after, you know, filling the net against Arizona, which obviously, you know, Arizona's not a good team, but I look like this game was frustrating to watch. Like it's funny because like earlier in the year, the Sharks were a more enjoyable team to watch, and I finally just haven't been of late.
I would agree with that.
We'll elaborate that on sooner. Like later.
Dude, the fact that like Randy and Brett, they're just espousing left and right how great Peterson's game has been. And I'm like, that's a pretty fucking low bar to get over, but yikes! Like that's where you're trying to find
that's your highlight.
Yeah, exactly. That's your silver lining. And the thing that got it for me, it's like the Sharks were able to kill a 5-on-3, which is always a good thing, but. You know, Burns got
big kill, huge kill.
And
I thought like after that huge kill, I thought they had momentum. I thought Philly, with their travel issues and playing the night before, I thought they started looking really sluggish. And of course, the second I tweet that they start looking really sluggish, they score.
The thing that just pissed me off though, it's like Burns for that leading up to the 5-on-3. Burns got called for a trip, and that's fine. When I saw it, I was like, yeah, that's a fucking trip. But Meier getting called for that hook, I'm like, oh my god, that's one of the softest hooking calls I've ever seen. But hey, it is what it is. The thing that stood out though, of course, for the Sharks Philly game, Jerkman, dude, Meier and Dahlin got stapled to the bench.
Which I don't understand. I mean, yeah, you want to send a message that like, you know,
we don't want to win. That's the message.
Right, but it's like, you know, whether you're the best player or whether, you know, you're just a guy filling in, like, you know, everybody's held to the same standard. And I agree with that logic of it all. Don't get me wrong, but to your point, AJ, like Timo Meier has been the best player for the Sharks this year, and you know, you want to send a message to him, that's fine. But to hold him out of the overtime, I mean, that's just ridiculous to me. I mean, he literally, you know, is one of 3 players who give you the best chance to win. And especially, too, like, you know, that mindset of everybody's held to the same standard, which I agree with, and for the most part has been true. But, like, I don't think Peterson has been held to that standard. I don't think Vlasic has been held to that standard.
Oh, Vlasic, not at all.
You know, and it's just like, you know, if you're gonna, you know, I don't know. I didn't get it. Sending a message, I'm all for it. That's fine. But holding your best player out of the game, I mean, like you said, do you want to win?
The rest of the third, but like in overtime, you put Matt Nieto on the ice instead of Timo Meier. Like, what are we doing? And not even that, like, but obviously, look at right. Last year there was a lot of talk, and now Timo Meier has to pay for Evander Kane's sins. Because that's what this was, right? This was, well, you know, we didn't hold guys to account last year. You know, guys that scored lots of goals. So this is how you send that message, I guess. But I think when you're trying to get, like, every point for the Sharks matters so much right now. Like, the Sharks don't have points that they can give away. And make no mistake, like, yeah, they won this game, but it could have just as easily gone the other way.
Easy. And
you can't put your top scorer on the line when there's a huge 2 points. Like, yeah, it's not a huge deal because, again, it's not a divisional rival, so it's not like you're giving teams to another team in your division. But like, the Sharks need every points They need all the points they can get at this point, right? If they're legitimately trying to make a go of it, which is what they say they're doing, you need the points. And yeah, I think you could have easily sent that message, but like once overtime came in and the 2 points are on the board, it's time to get Timo Meier back on the ice. That's my opinion. I'm sure some people will disagree, but it's again how Evander Kane continues to screw this team even when he's not here.
It was a choice.
Well, and not only that too, but especially you look at the ice time for this game, right? Jonah Gadjevich just under 8 minutes, Jeff Viel just over 8 minutes, Lane Peterson just under 11 minutes with somehow 3 minutes of power play time. Like you're obviously not playing your fourth line very much, Like if that's how you're going to operate, you should be putting your big guns out there, when you're not playing your fourth line, and that's, I don't know. It's just very weird to me. Like if it was a situation where it's like, yeah, okay, like these guys, they played under 10 minutes, but wow, Timo Meier and Couture, they were both at 24 minutes. Like they were really gassing. But no, we didn't see that. And it's like, I understand, like even the Sharks' third line, like they're good players, but let's not pretend like this is some elite Stanley Cup third line, right? And like, I like what the O-line, as you said, AJ, I like what they all bring to the table, but if that's going to be your third line, your fourth line needs to be better than an AHL line.
Christ almighty, yes. Ricky,
and in the chat too, yeah, I just want to point out, like, the only other person that's been held, like, I guess Kevin LeBanc was probably getting a little lonely being held to the standard. But, it's nice of Timo to join him, I guess.
But Ricky asking, have you guys noticed Dahlin's shot since the shoulder injury? Yeah, his placement is gone and the speed is off.
I hadn't noticed it, but now that Ricky says that and I'm thinking back on it, it makes a lot of sense, because really since that game he's played decent, but I don't think he's where he was pre-injury.
You are correct.
I haven't really noticed Jonathan Dahlin that much of late, to be completely honest. Like, I had to go back and check and like, which games did Dahlin play in? Because I haven't really noticed them. Now maybe someone's gonna. Well, actually, Ian, he has a majillion Corsi 4, and he's been great. But
hold on, Ian. Let me ask you this: is the fact that we're not noticing Dahlin is the fact that, like, over the last few games he's been with Hertl rather than Couture? Because it seemed like Dahlin really excelled when he was up there with Couture and Meier, but with Hertl and Barabanov or Gregor or whoever, maybe not so much.
Yeah, it might be that too. I'm not really sure. Like I said, it's not like he hasn't really done anything that's kind of stood out to me on the ice. And it could simply be as simple as maybe line placement, where he was possibly better off with Couture. But I think also what Ricky said probably something to do with it too, right? Like his shot hasn't really been there since the injury. So, I mean, hopefully, like, again, like if you want to actually be on Twitter and tell me how good he's been, like to see it. I just, from what I've seen with my two eyes, without really digging deep, I haven't really noticed him of late.
Well, and not only that too, but we've obviously talked about it in weeks prior, but it's, I mean, I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to switch things around and spark something, but we've pretty much all year we've talked about it where, the second line has been Hertl and Barabanov, and then it's been a rotating cast of guys. And, that third spot on that line, AJ and I have said, has kind of been a black hole, where you put somebody there and yeah, they look good, but the points aren't really there for them. And, I think it is a lot have to do with line placement. I almost wonder if it would have been better to just keep Dahlin up with Couture, or maybe try Dahlin with, Hertl and Barabanov still together. I don't know, but I still think, especially with the shoulder injury, you're gonna need somebody, whoever is Barabanov is gonna play with. You're gonna need that person to pull the weight a lot of the night. You need to be able to. That person needs to be able to get the puck to Jonathan Dahlin. He can't be relied on at this point to make anything happen himself, especially if he is still dealing with that lingering injury.
Yeah.
It's a very LeBanc type of player. So either way, no power play goals over the last 5 games with this one. 0 for 11. The Sharks in this one 0 for 4 on the power play, but they were 3 for 3 on the PK, including that 5-on-3. But the
Huge
Sharks,
kill.
yeah, huge kill. But Randy also pointing out that the Sharks are last in the NHL when it comes to drawing a man advantage. Move your feet. I think
Move your feet, have the puck. Things that help.
Yeah, things that do that. In this one, Hobgawaks got scratched. Mario Ferraro went to protocol, so Milosh subbed in, and Shimmick got moved up with Burns, which, is it just me, or is Shimmick starting to be like the Shimmick that we all remembered?
It's amazing how well you can play when you don't have the anchor that is Vlasic on your pair.
I think he was. Yeah, I thought he was okay in the Philly game, but I didn't think he was good tonight. Like, I thought he was very. I mean, not that anyone was really good tonight, this afternoon, but I didn't think
this morning
for you guys on the West Coast. I didn't think he was good today at all. Like, I thought there was a bunch of goals where I'm like, what are you doing, buddy?
Nobody was good today.
I thought he's been better, though. You know what I mean? Like, and really, it's been that way even prior to this stretch of games. It seems. I think we talked about it 2 weeks ago, AJ, where it seems he seems more physical again. His skating seems to be a little crisper. It doesn't seem like he's getting totally railroaded as much. He.
Pylons?
That's not to say, I don't know. He's I wouldn't say he's the best defenseman ever, right? But like, I think he's been better as of late, which is obviously, you're going to need that, especially the top 4 is pretty set. You're going to need a third pair that's not ass. And if Shimmick can kind of pull it together the way he has been, the Sharks might be onto something.
I don't know. If you follow Jerk's account, I thought I saw something about the Redeemer.
Yeah. I mean, he had a hell of a hit on Kevin Hayes.
Yeah,
that was a nice hit for sure.
But obviously the storyline is, they coming back from a 1-0 deficit, coincidentally after VL had, I don't know if I would call that a fight.
VL.
But this the game, it felt like Sutter era hockey, where it was just kind of like, no, we're just going to play heavy knuckles dragger, and again, Couture shorthander being the key for me, at least. And although I will say, and we'll get into this in a hot minute, but both of the Philly goals come from Burns and whoever he was partnering with at that time, getting beat on coverage. So, look, hey, they won. That's all that mattered, right? So, then Pittsburgh. Start of a 4-game road trip. Now, here's the thing. Pittsburgh had won 7 straight coming into this, but they had their last 5 games postponed due to that Rona, and they had not played since December 19th. So, of course, you're going to hear the commentators go, well, Pittsburgh's going to come in rusty, and well, they're like, they haven't played in a long time. No, I think they came in rested as fuck. Because they put 6 goals on the Sharks in the first 12 minutes of the game or whatever. It was to the point where they pulled Reimer, have Sachenko start the second. Oy. I mean, what? How do you jerk the first period? Like, how do you not turn off the TV and go, yeah, I got other things I can do today?
Dude, I really thought about it. Like it was 6-1, and I'm like, you know what? I got some other stuff going on. I'll shut it off.
I could change my oil.
When I get home, I'll watch the recap. I'll take some notes, and that's gonna do it. You know what I mean? And for some reason, I stuck around and watched this dumb game, and they almost brought it back. I give them
masochist.
credit. It's hard to point to what was the source of the fire that got lit under them, but something happened, and they almost brought it back. So,
dude, it was. I mean, Ian, you had to have been sitting there going, okay, after 1, 6-1, after 2, 6-2, and you're like, okay, that's that second goal. That's Pittsburgh going, yeah, we'll throw you a little bone. But all of a sudden, 3 goals in the first 4 minutes of the third, you're going, wait a minute, what?
Yeah. So I'll tell you all a funny story. So I was at work when this game was going on, right? And I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I don't have to watch that. And then AJ messages me like a few hours ago and it's like, hey, do you want to come on the show? And I'm like, yeah, but I've only seen one game this week. I'm like, but you know what? I can watch the Pittsburgh game. So I plowed through the Pittsburgh game about an hour before the show, after thinking I'd skipped a good one because of work. Yeah, like it was nice of Casey DeSmith to completely like let the Sharks back in the game, because some of the goals the Sharks scored were awful.
Oh, they were
like,
dude, they were ass.
They like the just not good goaltending by Casey DeSmith at all. So it was nice to, after Reimer got lit up in the first, for him to, kind of let the Sharks back into it. I give the Sharks credit here again. Just like the Arizona game, like they could have just taken the rest of the morning off, right? Like after that first period, you do whatever. But Zachary Sawchenko's going in for his first NHL game. And I think that does motivate guys, right? And I think they did play a little bit better in front of him. I think Sawchenko got lucky a couple of times too, because I thought Pittsburgh beat him pretty clean on a few shots that hit posts and crossbars.
A lot of posts in this game.
Yeah. And I look at Zachary Sawchenko, a guy who a few years ago almost, just hung up the skates, right? And he's only on an NHL contract because the Sharks needed a taxi squad goalie. And in order to have a taxi squad goalie, it has to be on an NHL deal. That's how Zachary Sawchenko got his deal. Because, like, let's be honest here. As good as this was for Zachary Sawchenko, it's not like he's been lights out in the AHL either. Like, goaltending's a huge problem for the Barracuda.
Well, I was going to say, anybody who has played for the Barracuda, whether it's been Melnichuk, Sawchenko, they've all gotten torched.
Yeah. The Middleton tip was great. Yes, I'm seeing in chat the Middleton tip. But if you go back and watch some of those goals, and Casey DeSmith was pretty ass on most of them.
Well, not only that too, but I thought it was quite hilarious, to be honest with you. after Matt Nieto's goal, how on the broadcast they're like, well, that's how they drew it up, and it's like, like, are you watching the same thing? Like, the puck hit the boards and then hit DeSmith and went in. Like, that was to say that's a skill play. Like, you're embarrassingly naive.
Dude, Nieto will tell you, luckiest goal he's ever scored in his career.
I'll tell you what, though, going back to what I said before during the when we were talking about the Arizona game, though, man, Jake Middleton, he's come to play. Like this is the. You think about what type of player Karlsson is. Middleton is the shutdown complement to Erik Karlsson.
Oh yeah.
And so as a strategist, you're thinking, why is our shutdown defenseman in the slot getting a tip on the puck?
Oh, and he called for it too. Like, he called, like, if you watch the replay, like, Middleton called for the tip.
Yeah.
Before, and I mean, it was like, that goal was sweet. I don't want to take anything away from that goal, because that goal was sweet. But if you look at some of those other goals, like Casey DeSmith was really bad today.
For sure, but I just think it's kind of leading itself to a kind of an interesting story, where it's, Middleton's, again, the shutdown defenseman. He's calling for the puck and he's tipping it in the slot. His first NHL goal on a man net, he no-sells it. Like, it's creating a fun story about who Jake Middleton is, I think.
Oh, sure. Dude, Middleton had himself a week.
That's what I'm saying. All it took was Erik Karlsson yelling at him.
Dude, like, evidently. We're going to get into that. So, the Sharks, the first power play goal in 12 chances, after going 0-11 the previous 5 games, they finally, get one after starting Sawchenko to start the second period. And, hey, you have to give it – Sawchenko, he actually looked pretty fucking good with an NHL team in front of him.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I give the guy full marks, right? Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from him. I give him full marks. And for him to have that moment, I mean, how awesome is that, right? To go from a guy who, like, again, he got his contract because we needed an NHL tender to put on the taxi. And we wanted Melnichuk to get as many starts as possible with Kozanac, right? So, I mean, when you look at that, I mean, good for him, man. Like, awesome. He played, he allowed 1 goal. He got shelled because that's what the Sharks did all game. full marks for Sachenko for me, man.
Yeah, I thought it was, I mean, he did literally what you would hope. So you have to give it up to him. Reimer, for as great as he's been, not his best week this week, but fine, whatever. For me, it is what it is. You go down 6-1 in the first. Look, this is a Sharks team that they were down 6-1 in the first. 4 minutes into the third, they were down 6-5. You have to think, if Martin Jones is in net, if this is a year ago, it's not 6-5, 4 minutes into the third. It's 10-1. You know what I mean? So you have to at least appreciate the fight, the comeback that they tried. I can appreciate this. I can sit there and go, oh man, Jesus Christ, they feel like this is Game 7 versus Vegas. Like, they can come back. It looked interesting. And if memory serves, who was it? Was it Couture? I believed missed a wide open 4x6 that would have tied the game.
Yeah, so
in
did
the third.
Bonino.
Yeah, yeah, and Bonino. So it was like, look, at least you're seeing this fight that we haven't seen from the Sharks in a long time. So you have to at least respect the fact that it's like, fuck, man, you're down fucking 5 goals in the first period, and you take that shit back to only 1?
Well, yeah, and you remember I said earlier about how, like, in the Arizona game, I would burn the tape. In isolation, I would probably burn the tape on this one too. But the problem is those 2 games have come within 3 games of each other,
right?
Right. So that's concerning, because I think that, again, like, the early part of the game, you probably want to burn the tape there. But I mean, it's got to be a little concerning, at least now, right? If you're Bob Bugner,
a coach,
yeah, like. two out of 3 games, and like, for a team that can't score, I mean, they've definitely put some pucks in the net, but we've gone back to not keeping them out of our net either. So I don't know, like, they can't do both, right? Like in the Philly game, it's the opposite. They can't put the puck in the net, but at least they're keeping, but they're not allowing 1 million goals either.
Yeah,
they score 1 million goals, it's because they've allowed 1 million goals. So I don't know what the secret recipe is here.
Well, I will tell you, man, this is something that Jerk and I have talked about ad nauseum, but man, oh my God. The fact, it's just because Jerk will sit there and go, yeah, dude, it's a 7:30 game. Okay, cool. My phone is set for 7:37. That's a puck. Yep. It's like, I don't want to hear the Pollyanna bullshit. That's literally the play.
Yeah. Turn on the game right after the national anthem. Oh, it's intermission. Set the timer on the phone for 18 minutes, and I'll go do something else. I'll go sit on my computer. I'll go talk to my fiance. I'll go fucking take a walk. I'll go do something. You know what I mean?
Literally,
it's funny, though, because
anything but listen to the Pollyanna bullshit.
It's funny though, because I find, like, Twitter ruined everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you why Twitter, like, is there anything more, like, I understand, like, they want to get, like, you sometimes you get interviews or whatever, but, like, the intermission show has become so irrelevant now. Because remember, like, back in the day, you'd listen to an intermission, especially on a national broadcast, right? Like, second intermission, you'd get all the hot stove, right? All the hot rumors and stuff. But I have Twitter now, man. I know this stuff as soon as it happens. I don't need to wait for.
But it's not that. It was like I said earlier. It was like I got a little fucking Ripper Magooed on New Year's, bled over until the next day. So this morning, like I said, dude, like the game started at 10 local time on Pacific. I woke up, started watching when there was like a minute and a half left, and 6-1, and I went, Jesus Christ, what a shit show this is. But then it goes to Kozumor filling in for Brody, and then you got Mr. Pollyanna himself, Curtis Brown, and I'm sitting there and I'm going, he's going, Kozumor, who honestly, I think is worse when it comes to the Pollyanna stuff. I think he is super duper Pollyanna. Like Brown is kind of Pollyanna. He's a bit Kozimor like embodies Pollyanna. It was just the fact where it was just Curtis Brown. Well, what did you think about that first period? 6-1. That's going to be tough. Well, I don't want to talk about that period. Oh, in other words, you don't want to acknowledge reality. Is that what you're trying to say, Curtis? And then Hedekin at one point goes, well, I don't want to talk about the scoring chances in the first. Why? Because Pittsburgh had so many more than the Sharks? Hold on. It's just like Kozimor, Brown, Hedekin. These are all insanely very nice people, but it pisses me off. It makes me feel like they think I'm an idiot. When the way that they talk about when they come on, here's the silver lining of no, you can put all the polish in the world on a turd. It's still a turd. And it just super duper frustrates me to hear like I feel like I'm being talked down to, where they're just like, even though they're down 6-1, here's the one good thing you could. No, fuck you. Acknowledge the fact that they got their asses handed to them. That just, and it's, have you ever heard somebody talking and you're just going, oh my God, like you're literally like face palming because you're like, oh my God, this is the most embarrassing thing. Like, I feel so embarrassed. And I'm not even saying it. I'm hearing somebody else say this. And because of how bad it is, I feel embarrassed. That's how I felt about Kozimor and Hedekin during this game. It's just like, if you have to scramble that hard to find a fucking silver lining, maybe there's not a silver lining to be found. And this, to me, is Drew Remenda encapsulating his best quote ever. How can I praise this team with any credibility if I can't critique them honestly? There you go. Boy.
What I thought was really hilarious too, speaking on the same, point, sort of. So they're during this, whatever you want to call it, this comeback in the third period. Like they're talking, the Randy was saying, the Sharks, they've put up four, the last 4 goals and blah, blah, blah. And they didn't even need a 5-minute power play. To do it.
I heard that too. And I was just like, oh my God, really?
It was 3 years ago.
Let it go, man.
Don't get me wrong. And one of the most awesome memories for me as a Sharks fan, I was at the game, but holy fuck, it was 3 years ago.
Yep. I mean,
remember that time when the Sharks beat the Detroit Red Wings in the Game 7 in '94?
I remember.
Like, this is almost like this is some like what if it was in Tahoe level bullshit. Like, can we just?
Oh my God, you are so right.
It's bad, right? And here's the point I was trying to make earlier. Like, the problem is like not only is the fact that it's like the intermission shows are completely irrelevant now. Like they're completely irrelevant.
I don't feel like that they're irrelevant.
They just
they make me feel.
On Twitter.
No, I don't feel that they're irrelevant.
Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Right. So what they have to do is they don't have anything of value to give you, really, right? I mean, they could critique the game, and you would like them to do it a little more honestly, but most people in today's day, they don't want to hear. They want to hear what they want to hear. They don't want to hear what they don't want to hear. So if your glasses are the tealest of teal tinted, right?
Solid plug.
You don't want to hear how bad this team is. You only want to hear good things because you don't want people to upset your bubble. But that's the problem.
I feel
I agree.
I
think they do a huge disservice to this fan base because I mean, if you
don't treat me like I'm a fucking moron.
Right.
That's the thing that just gets me. But anyway, all right.
But here's the thing, though. What if you are a moron?
But okay. Welcome to Sharks fan Facebook. Okay, and I totally agree with you. But that's the whole thing, is that then it starts to be this whole idea of that. I guess you got to hold the I don't know, the weights this way. It's like, okay, so we have to appeal to fans that can like acknowledge reality and see what is happening, but then we also have to acknowledge the fans that are retarded and don't understand what they're watching and just want to have smoke blown up their ass. Like,
yeah, and obviously, and again, they want people to come to the arena. So if you rip them apart for an intermission, and I'm looking at my ticket money and I'm saying, I could go watch the Warriors.
I'm not expecting them to rip them apart. But it's the whole thing of the, like, again, it's one of my favorite quotes ever. Was there was at a time, I can't remember if it was last season or the season before, but there was a stretch of time where the Sharks literally went 0 for 16 on the power play, and Brody throws it to Curtis Brown and says, okay, so Curtis, this is a game that a power play goal, they lost by 1. This is a game that a power play, and if memory serves, the Sharks had like 4 chances on the power play. Here's a game, Curtis, a power play goal could have made the difference. They haven't scored a power play goal in their last 5 games. What do you think is the problem with the Sharks' man advantage? And Curtis literally said, well, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about, and it's, oh my God. So you don't want to acknowledge reality. And that's the thing that drives me up a fucking wall. And when I see Mark Smith in there or Drew Remenda in there, and they're, showing you on their big Jumbotron, here's where the Sharks fucked up. Like, this is what they should have done, or you see this and this was a bad move or something. Like, I can appreciate that. It's like, look, the Sharks are not going to win every fucking game. It's okay to point out the obvious. Like, not everybody does it right. Sometimes you fuck up, and maybe pointing out the fuck up will help you not fuck up in the future.
Well, not even that. I mean, it helps you understand. Like, it also helps the viewer understand why things went wrong, right? Like, and that's why they do such a disservice, because they don't, like, for let's be honest, all right? The intermission show, it's not for guys like us.
It isn't.
Right?
You're right.
It's not for guys like us. Like, guys like us, we can watch the game. I don't need Drew Remenda to break down a play. I can figure it out on my own.
Right.
But at least Drew is going to be honest about it. Yeah. I feel like at this point, I feel like Curtis Brown, and he could be the nicest guy on the planet. When you meet him, he'll do anything for you, blah, blah, blah. But when he's doing the show, I just feel like I feel like I'm being lied to, like I'm being misled. Like I feel like Curtis Brown thinks I'm an idiot.
Well, I mean, we don't call it Shark State Media for nothing.
But see, you know what I'm saying? So, all right, we should probably move on. So what do we take from the week's games? Look, they've 3 games were postponed. Of the 7 home games, they did play. They went 4-3, so I mean a little bit better. But they did go 1-2 in the divisional games, which is something that Jerk, Ian, and myself have all pointed out how big of a difference that's going to be the thing. These divisional games, and it only gets worse from here. The Sharks, as I look at the schedule, I believe the Sharks have more in-division games to finish out the last half of the second half of the season than anybody else. But let's get to stock up and stock down this week. Stock up. Look, Timo Meier. You were a little worried about him maybe a couple weeks ago, but
you were.
But last few games,
I knew it was fine.
I knew. 1 goal, 4 assists this week. Got to enjoy that. Captain Logan Couture, 3 goals and an assist, including a shootout goal versus Arizona and a shorty, which we talked about earlier, which was a huge difference for the game against Philly.
Yeah, I mean, Logan Couture was the best Shark that Philly game, and I don't think it was particularly close.
Yeah, there's nobody's going to debate this. But when it comes to the best Shark of the week, you might have to debate Jerk when it comes to Barabanov.
What I was just going to say, you said last segment, you said, what are our takeaways from, from this week? And the thing that I was going to say is the Sharks need to announce that Barabanov extension here pretty soon.
Oh, you think so? What are you thinking? Like 2 years and like what? 1.2 per? What are you talking about?
I think you got it. I mean,
see, I don't think that Barabanov or anybody else in the league realizes how valuable Barabanov is more than you.
Well, it all started when I was the leading bid on his Uprising jersey, and then he scored his first NHL goal.
Right?
But no, I mean, I just think okay, so you look at the stats, right? And he's only got 5 goals this year, but I mean, he's still got 18 points in 28 games. That's not bad. You know what I mean? And
that's the thing about Barabanov this year. He doesn't like the numbers, the stat sheets. It's not great for him. Mm-hmm. But if they counted tertiary assists, holy fuck, would he have some points?
That's what I'm saying. And he's clearly fit well with Tomas Hertl. Now, obviously, if the Sharks end up trading Hertl, that's not going to matter. But
could end up trading both of them.
I mean, yeah, if you're. We're getting way too ahead of ourselves here, but if you are trading Hertl, then you're trading Barabanov too. But I think if you want to look, and we've been talking about this the last 3 years, since the Sharks have not been a good team, it's like you need to find positives and find good things in order.
What is your name, Curtis Brown? Suddenly?
No, but I'm just saying, you're trying to, whatever the Sharks claim they're trying to do with this team, whatever your word is, rebuild, retool, reset, whatever.
Anything but rebuild?
We don't say the word in San Jose, sir.
You can say reset, retool, as long as you don't say rebuild.
Right, but I just think you need to find good pieces to have to build, right? And I think Barabanov is that. I mean, especially the way he's played with Hertl, and yeah, you'd like more points on the board for sure, but it seems to me like he's always making things happen. And
he is he is you have your guys that get stirred, and you got guys that stir the drink. Yeah. And Barabanov's the guy that stirs the drink. He's always generally impacting the ice positively for the Sharks when he's on it.
Well, and not only that too, but if I can be selfish for a second, if the Sharks keep Barabanov and he continues to play well, I will continue to be right, and I really need that.
Also, stock up this week. Tomas Hertl, 2 goals, 1 assist. Keep that trade value going up, buddy. Positive direction.
Have you looked at his numbers, Tomas Hertl, since we called him out?
Oh shit! What you got there?
It's like I'm trying to go. So since we called him out, it's been 6, 7, 8 goals and 4 assists since we called him out, and that's in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games. 12 points in 9 games since we called him out.
Do we need to call out Couture right now?
No, he's doing fine.
Couture's been great.
We need to call out Lane Peterson. No,
finally, for stock up, stock down this week. Stock up. Look, Cogliano, 4-game point streak.
Under the radar, for sure.
Yeah, flying under it. And then the other one, Jacob Middleton. Are you kidding me? 2 goals, 2 assists in the last 2 games? And
Jacob Middleton's like my like he's not obviously going to be the team MVP, but he's like my the unheralded guys. He's going to be my unheralded MVP probably this season if this keeps up. Because
if your name is Knizhov, you're sitting at home going fuck.
No, Schmick's still on this team.
Yeah, there's still one more body Knizhov can move out of the way.
Vlasic. Yeah.
I think, we kind of got into it a little bit, but for me anyway, I think you can add Shimmick to the stock up list. I mean, he's not what what we all were enjoying 3 years ago, I think is worth saying, but I think
why is Shimmick up? Is it because Ferraro's been out for the last couple of games?
I mean, that certainly has something
getting
to do
that
with it,
opportunity.
I'm sure. Getting opportunity for sure, but I think even prior to that, I thought he's looked better. So I don't know. I mean, like I said, if the Sharks have any dreams of being a playoff team, they need all three of their D pairs to be clicking. Yeah. And so far Shimmick is, appear anyway in the last however long month or so. Shimmick's appeared to start pulling his weight. We're just waiting on Vlasic.
But oh my lord,
I'm not
Middleton.
there yet, but it's interesting.
No, Middleton. I mean, 2 goals, 2 assists in the last 2 games. Had an amazing takeaway on this guy. I don't know if you've heard of him, Sidney Crosby. But
I saw that dude, and to not take a penalty too. I was like,
exactly.
Hell yeah. I'm like, yeah, dude, that was awesome. And you know what? I gave myself credit for Barabanov last segment. I gotta kick myself down here now. During training camp, I'm looking at Jake Middleton. I'm like, why is he still here? Like,
yep, big save. And now he's he's only a part of the best D pair on the team.
Right.
I know. I'm pretty sure like that was one of the last things Ian, Kevin, and I talked about was like, why is Jake Middleton still on the roster? And. Yeah. And now,
why is he not carrying Peterson's bags?
That's what I'm saying. He's on the bet. He's on the best pair now, and like you said, definitely deserves to be viewed as that unheralded guy. I think you're right on that one, Ian. And we'll see. I mean, if Knizhov comes back and you get him out, maybe you get him and Shimmick, or if Hatakka can get it together. I really want to see more experimentation with that bottom pair. Like Burns, Ferraro,
without Vlasic,
right? And like Burns, Ferraro, like they've been getting killed, but like I feel like you have to play them together at this point. And
that pair has been getting caved. That's an interesting one, right? Because I think like I really like Mario Ferraro, but like I'm worried that all this time with Burns isn't helpful. Like I feel like it sucks because like obviously you want to keep Middleton, Karlsson together because they've been really, really good. But Burns Ferraro's been pretty yikes.
I'd love to see Ferraro Karlsson, but I don't necessarily want to do that to Jake Middleton either.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
Because his mustache scares the shit out of Karlsson. I don't know.
I'm gonna push it. Knizhov, Hatakka, third pair. That's what I'm pushing.
Stock down this week for me. Brent Burns, did have 2 goals this week, but man, his pocket was getting picked left and right. A lot of turnovers, and the big one for me, taking the stupidest of penalties with 2:30 left versus Arizona, leading to the Yotes tying the game. Did have a high value goal versus Philly, which we'll get into the module in a little bit. But Burns, been definitely been very high, very low this week. Erik Karlsson, he had okay.
Shut your mouth.
Okay, shut your whore mouth. Shut your whore mouth. I mean, he had a horrible fucking turnover versus Vancouver.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Versus Arizona, he's barking at Middleton, posts a -3. He's staring at Ladd as Ladd's goal sends the game to overtime. Now, some good stats versus Philly. Didn't feel like I saw him for the first couple periods, but that's fine. But stats don't lie. Numbers don't lie. He has had 8 points in his last 8 games, 9 points in his last 9 games. I still sit there and go, those stats are great. Those are awesome. Love it. Love to see those on the score sheet. But again, I go back and I see this play versus Arizona where he is literally controller has been disconnected. And it's like, fuck, Eric, you have so much goddamn talent. To see you sitting there with your thumb up your ass. Like, I sit there and go, 8 points in your last 8 games? Dude, you could have 14 points in your last 8 games.
Reimer needs to get that rebound though, doesn't he?
I think there's a couple people that need to be involved in that play. But anyway, finally, stock down, and I think we can all agree on this. We can probably agree on this for the last 2 seasons. Marc-Edouard fucking Vlasic, Jesus Christ, barely averaging over 14 minutes a game. Dude is not even getting PK time anymore. Not even seeing the PK. Now he stepped.
He saw it a little bit though, because I thought he was on with. I know he was on with Karlsson.
Well, he's
today
got
on the PK. Wasn't he?
He's gotten a sniff because Ferraro.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say he had 104 today on the PK, but against Philadelphia, 34 seconds. I mean, like half of that is getting on the ice.
You're not getting that if Ferraro's still in.
And against the Arizona Coyotes, he had 3 seconds of shorthanded time.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Like that's literally waiting for the door to open. Like,
yeah, when it comes to return on investment on the defense, like everybody knows, I'm not a big fan of Erik Karlsson, but man, I'm starting to really fucking hate Marc-Edouard Vlasic's contract.
That was the contract that was supposed to age the best.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
That's the part that kills me, right? Because you thought like a guy like Brent Burns has been caved in defensively, but I think he still has offensively upside, right?
Sure.
Or,
wait a minute. Are you trying to say Burns to forward?
No, I would not go that far. But like Vlasic never had that upside to begin with. Yeah. So for his defensive game to fall so far off a cliff, when again, like Burns, like he crashes, he bangs, like you thought, oh man, like that Burns contract, that's a concern because like, is he going to be able to skate with the way he plays when he's 40? Vlasic should have aged. That contract should have aged so much better.
Dude.
Something else I think is worth mentioning too, and this was talked about a lot, and like I said, I was at the game, I saw it with my own eyes. The Sharks were giveaway machines in the game against the Arizona Coyotes, and I'm looking at the stats right now. Bob, when talking about Timo Meier, was talking about we hold everybody to the same standard, blah blah blah, all this stuff. Look at the game sheet for the Arizona Coyotes. Gadjevich, Hertl, Barabanov, Ferraro, Karlsson combined for 5 giveaways. Between the 5 of them, 5 giveaways total. Brent Burns had 5 giveaways on his own. Yeah. I know that Brent Burns is the second highest paid defenseman on the team. You need him, same as Timo Meier, you need him on the ice when you're trying to win the game. Mm-hmm. But similar to how Timo Meier kind of got the jam job Bob treatment a little bit, I want to see Brent Burns sit for a shift because he does some like nausea-inducing stuff out on the ice. Cross-checking in the last 2 minutes of the third period. That swing the stick, bat the puck out of the air move that he hits like 1 out of 10 times. Like, I just want to see some accountability.
I would agree with you. Let's move on to the stats. This is going to be real quick.
Stock down Reimer. Is that fair? Like, I think not a good week for Reimer.
Yeah. Not good for him, but overall with the team, yeah, it's not great. The power play, went from like 8th to 10th to 12th. Either way, right now, 18.2 has fallen to 19th in the league. Coming into the Pittsburgh game this morning, like I said, 0 for 11 over 5 games. Got one today. Either way, 4 for their last 17 with the man advantage in their last 9 games. A lot of those at home, but 1 for 12 in their last 6. That's not great. Penalty kill at 83% now.
Still not bad.
Not bad, but again, falling. Trending in a downward projection. Same thing with the face-off. At one point, they were almost 54%. Right now, 51.4. They're 10th in the NHL. At one point, they were 3rd.
Face-offs, I thought this was a really good game, though, to show, like... Because I know a lot of people put a lot of emphasis. Yeah, this Pittsburgh game, I thought was a really good... It was an interesting game because the Sharks were really good in the face-off circle this game. Even when they were down 6-1, they were still slaying in the face-off circle. It was just that they couldn't do anything with the puck after they won the draw, which is why I think like face-offs, it's just another battle, right?
Sure. When it comes to the goaltending, look, Hill, he's on that Rona. But Reimer did not, as Ian pointed out earlier, not a great week for Reimer.
Right, and I don't think it's like we should throw Reimer out with the trash right now or anything like
not
that.
At all.
But I mean, if this continues, these numbers are going to find Adin Hill territory really quick. It won't take long.
Yeah, they could even find Martin Jones territory.
They could. And then what will we do?
This week, blue line points, 4 goals, 6 assists on the season. That's pretty good. 10 points over 3 games from the blue line, not too shabby. On the season, 71 points over 33 games. For those of you who are mathematically challenged, it's better than a point per game. So, look, the blue line is participating. So, let's just hit the module real quick. Any changes, Jerk? Module.
So
probably no changes, really.
So for the last 5 weeks, the top 3 has been Hertl, Meier, and Couture. That is still your top 3 according to high-value goals and total goals and the module score. However, Erik Karlsson, with his play as of late, he's slowly climbing the rankings. He's now tied for 4th on the module with Jonathan Dahlen. They have the same amount of goals, and they have the same amount of low, mid, and high value goals. Go figure. Nick Bonino, we were talking about how he had 4 goals on the year, and all of them were high value. He's now got 5, and they're all still high value. So despite having 5 goals, Nick Bonino is still at the top of the ranking.
See, that's what I'm saying, dude. It's like he's not scoring a whole lot, but when he does, they're fucking meaningful.
Yep. And last thing too, so Barabanov, he started the year with 3 high value, 3 of his 3 goals being high value. Last 2 have been low value, but I think for somebody like Barabanov, I think you just want them to go in right now.
Sure. Absolutely.
That's really it.
Beautiful. Let's some quick hits and I say quick hits. I feel like they might be elongated hits.
Well, that's a beautiful thing about this being our podcast is we can just skip them if we don't want to talk about it.
Well, or we can talk forever.
Yeah,
that too. I mean, 2 options.
Hold on, wait a minute. Wasn't Ian like posting the idea of a 3-hour show? I don't know. So, quick hits. Our buddy Shang Pang asked on his podcast, and it was a weird week for Shang. I love Shang. Don't get me wrong, but it felt like depending on what platform he was on, he was asking a different question that seemed to conflict with the previous one. Shang asked, should Bob Boughner be on the hot seat? And I'm listening to that going, well, why? And the reason why I asked why is that at this point, like, look, the best chef on the planet can only make a meal that is so good when his ingredients suck, right? And the ingredients that Bob Boughner was given this season, not the greatest. He only has 1 year left on his deal. And if he doesn't get an extension this off season, is that not kind of an admission that, yeah, you're not going to be here past that? But my point being,
really quick, Boughner has next year on the deal as well.
That's, I'm sorry. Is that not what I illustrated?
No, you said this year was the last year.
I'm sorry. Well, you are correct. Yeah, the end of this year, and then yes, following year, 21 or 22, 23. That's his last year, at least for right now. But the fact of the matter is, Shang did a whole bit about should Boughner be on the hot seat, and in my mind, I'm going, why? Why would you put him in the hot seat? And to follow that up very quickly, after he talked about that on a podcast, he then did an article for NBCS that said, for what it's worth, an average offense coupled with San Jose's above average team defense, that should punch their playoff ticket. So you take both of those statements together, and I'm going, wait a minute, if you have a coach that gets you to the playoffs, why the fuck would he be on a hot seat?
Because
go ahead, Jerk.
I was I was trying to like think about that as you were saying it, and yeah, that is kind of weird. Like unless there's something I'm missing.
Yeah, I think we need to get Shang on here to like try to elucidate as to what he's trying to talk about.
I'm just curious. I think they're both valid talking points, but
yes,
I don't really know. I don't really know if one or the other path is super clear yet. You know.
Mm-hmm. If anybody should be on a hot seat right now, and I hate to say it because he's on PTO for whatever physical health ailment it is. If anything, to me, I'm going, no, Doug Wilson is the one that should be on the hot seat right now.
Yeah, and that was gonna be my question to follow up is like how many coaches, and I've said this a billion times on various Steel Town shows, but how many coaches does Doug Wilson get to fire?
Well, the fact that Doug Wilson is last I looked, is the second longest tenured GM in all of the NHL. Like, you've had a long time to get her done.
So I'm not a big Bob Boughner guy, right? I've been pretty clear on that. But I mean, you have to give him credit, but there's also like, it's not like this year's been a complete disaster, right? Like this year, given everything that Bob Boughner has had to work with and all the outside nonsense and inside nonsense and everything else, like the Sharks for a long time this year. Now, obviously, look at it's only the beginning of the season. You know, are we even halfway through yet? I don't even know. But there was a lot to like about this team. Like this team was playing well. This team could lose games, and I wasn't mad because I thought, given what
you saw
had
effort,
to work
right?
with, he had them playing well.
Yeah.
And you could find, you know, I as much as we ripped on the intermission, you know, you could find silver linings and things. You could find things you like that you could say, yeah, but if this continues, they're going to be okay. And they're going to be, you know, but man, those feelings haven't been there for a while, have they?
It's been a hot minute, but you know, you're talking about that the Sharks are kind of like, it feels like where we didn't think they were going to be world beaters. We didn't think they were good. It's, oh my God, what's the line where it's like, you know, too good to suck, but, you know, too bad to be worthwhile in the playoffs type of a thing. You know, like you're sitting there in purgatory, in limbo. Can't, like, fucking pick a lane.
Yeah, but I think, but like going back to like what you said, like I mean, for a look at Doug Wilson's done a lot of good things in San Jose, right? Again, same thing.
Amazing.
Like I think the Sharks at the start of the season, there was a lot to like about the way they played, and obviously Bob Boughner has to get some credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you look at where this team is now, it's time to stop looking at coaching. Like coaching is no longer like, I don't think Bob Boughner is a good coach, and I don't advocate for him being here. But I think that there are bigger problems with this team than Bob Boughner.
I would totally agree. And this is something that I had jotted down where it was just kind of like, if we're going to talk about Doug Wilson for a minute, let's talk what his 3 best moves, his 3 worst moves. And at least for me, 3 best moves that he ever made. Obviously, number 1 is trading Sturm, Primo, and Stewart for Thornton. That was a franchise.
Yeah, how many years? That was
okay. But hold on. See, that's the whole thing. Is you're proving my point. That was a franchise-altering deal. That was also something that happened 16 years ago.
Yep.
Then you have, for me, second best move he ever played was Matt Carl, Ty Wissert, 1st and a 4th to get Dan Boyle and Lukowicz. Again, something that happened in what, 08? Okay. Yep. And then third one, Devin Setaguchi, Charlie Coyle in a 1st, you know, and that 1st, by the way, never played a single game in the NHL to get Brent Burns. And that was back in what, like 10 years ago? 2011, 2010, somewhere in there. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you look at it, it's like those, and I think you'd be hard pressed to find anybody who would find a move that Doug Wilson made that would supersede any of those. Now, bottom, you know, like the 3 worst moves in my mind that Doug Wilson ever made, letting Pavelski walk, like not getting him, you know, not keeping him, whether it was, you know, because he wanted to keep Evander Kane, whatever. Either way, it was the fact that, look, you look at what Pavelski's done for Dallas over the last 2 years, that was a mistake. In hindsight, that's a mistake. The other one, giving Brent Burns that 8-year deal, because before that, Doug Wilson had only signed 5-year deals at the most. That, for me, opened up the fucking floodgates to sign all these ridiculous long-term deals. And then the third one, of course, is signing anybody, signing a deal that anybody had the initials MB. Mark Bell, Mikhail Bodker, blah, blah, blah. But those are goofy ones. But it's like Pavelski and Brent Burns. What my point is that you look at the history. Doug Wilson knocked it out of the park the first half of the 18 years that he's been the GM for the Sharks. The last 9 years, it's getting progressively worse. It feels like.
Yeah, he it seems like he has more misses than hits lately. And I mean, like, look at and some things, like, at the time, probably, like, I think the Evander Kane thing looks really bad in hindsight. Like, look at, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I was never on, like, the Evander Kane redemption tour, because I was totally on that train, right? Like, I was on it, and there was times before the summer where I would come on here and I would argue that when the Sharks kept Evander Kane over Joe Pavelski, that was the right move at the time. Now, I don't agree with that anymore. I think that there was a lot of red flags with Evander Kane that we probably overlooked because we wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. And you know what? That's fine. Like, I'm human. I make mistakes. And I'll be the first to admit that in hindsight, like, with the benefit of hindsight, yeah, I don't know if I'd make that move still. Even at Joe Pavelski's age, I don't know if I would. But I mean, again, with the benefit of hindsight, life doesn't work like that. Unfortunately, right? So I feel like, but if you look at, like, where this team is right now, like, look at this team is probably going to have to buy out Evander Kane in the offseason. It had to buy out Martin Jones. Mm-hmm. Like, this is I feel like, look, and these are probably the moves you have to make. Like, you could fire Doug Wilson, bring someone else in, and he's probably looking at that Evander Kane deal for sure. Like, that's something that has to go, because I don't think there's any future for him here.
Dude, any GM coming into that gig is going to look at that Kane deal and go, "Fuck you."
Like it's untenable at this point, and that's a contract that has to get bought out. But I think there probably would have to come in and probably look at Vlasic's deal and probably wonder if Hasso would let them pull the trigger there too. Like, I think the mess that's been made of this team by management is going to take a long time to undo. I don't have the faith that Doug Wilson's the guy to do it.
Jerk?
I don't know. I mean, it's really hard to say, because on the one hand, like, you make good points, right? Where it's like all the good stuff has been a long time ago and all the blunders have been more recent. But I don't feel, and I've said this many times before, I don't feel like the blunders were gross negligence. I honestly feel like they were a roll of the dice that did not go the way he was hoping. Yeah. And, does that mean that he gets a pass to stick around? I don't really know, but at the same time, I don't think it's totally cut and dry that he should be out of here either. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I agree. The Evander Kane deal, I mean, you try to trade that, but I think it is headed to a buyout, as you said, Ian, because the thing is, if Kane had a future on the Sharks, he'd already be back on the team. Yeah. He's cleared his suspension over a month ago. Mm-hmm. And even with Vlasic, I mean, we've talked about it so much. That contract, if you buy out that contract, it sucks. It's awful.
Yes, it does.
What does it also say, though? The fact that since Evander Kane has been eligible to play, the Barracuda have played, 12 games, and he's played in 4 or 5 of them?
Well, you got to keep the dates open for court, but whatever.
Yikes.
But, I just, even that Vlasic contract, it's crappy, as we've said, but if you are, whether you hire a new general manager or whether it is Doug Wilson who sticks around, I really agree with Ian. You got to look long and hard on that and say, okay, we suck. Is it worth just eating this buyout and hoping that the sunshine on the other side comes quicker than it looks? Because, I feel like I've had to explain this argument every time a buyout has come up. Martin Jones, Evander Kane.
Are you talking to the retards on Sharks Fan Facebook?
you look like, yeah, okay, 3.6 million, 1.4, 4.1, 5.1, like those are sucky, obviously.
Super sucky.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's less than 7 million, which is a positive. I get it. He's not on the roster, but it's less than 7 million. And by the time it's going to be 1.6 million. And, that's around the time the cap is supposed to go back up anyway. I know I've said this for the last two, Jones buyout, potential Kane buyout, now Vlasic, but maybe this is a situation where you just got to rip all the Band-Aids off, deal with it, and just get to the other side. Because
that's what Minnesota's doing. Well, and we'll see how it works out for them.
That's where I'm at, where I was just kind of like, fuck, man, are we going to let things like Burns, Karlsson, Couture, Kane, like these ridiculously long contracts, are we going to let them fuck up the future where you've got, you're eyeballing guys like Coe and Eklund and Bordelot and Gushkin and all, like these guys that could be the future. It just feels like, man, this crossover could be really fucking bad.
And here's the thing too, right? Like it's one thing. I know like a lot of people would like to strip this thing down to the bolts. Like you have to keep some veteran guys along. So you don't have to get rid of all these contracts. You don't get rid of all of them. Like you want to keep some of those guys along. Like as much as you might despise Brent Burns or you don't like Erik Karlsson, like you need guys like that still on the team as you turn it over.
Well, and Logan Couture.
And Logan Couture is another guy. I think Logan Couture maybe at some point I think Logan Couture is a guy I think you could still trade and you would still get a decent return for him at some point. Sure. So like I think if you go the rebuild route, Logan Couture is on the table because he's not going to be there. But you don't have to get rid of all the contracts because you still need guys. Like you don't want to do what Edmonton did and just be like, we're just going to play all 20-year-olds and see how that goes. Well, it goes off what we've seen.
Well, we're going to play all 20-year-olds, but we're going to play them with like two of the best players in the NHL.
Yeah. But look at how many times Edmonton had to reload.
Oh, sure.
And reload.
Oh,
right?
Dude,
because
how many times were they gifted the number
kids,
one
right?
pick?
No one else. Like you still need veteran guys on the team.
Well, here's my
decent veteran guys.
Here's my thing: is that between February 27th and March 17th, right? So just after the whole Olympic break, and obviously not Olympics anymore, but after the calendared break. You basically got about 3 weeks. The Sharks are going to play 8 games, and 6 of them are Pacific. Those are in-division games. The Sharks, they got to be a wild card team or better going into that stretch. And if they suck, if they go 500, look, the deadline is March 21st. Mm-hmm. At the end of that, is Hertl still here? I don't know. But that's going to be fucking huge. That to me, that is the stretch to look for, is right after that Olympic break. The Sharks, all those fucking games that are finally in division after waiting and waiting and waiting. There's other teams that they were able to bank some divisional points early and take advantage of some of the COVID shit. Look, the Sharks, it's going to be interesting. So, man, we're running long. What a shock. Coming up this week. Coming up next week, I should say, we're going to talk about 3 games that we're going to catch you up on as the Sharks finish up a 4-game roadie at Detroit, at Buffalo, at Philly. Look, Detroit, better than most expected. And, hey, if Dylan Larkin spills your beer, there's video. He's going to buy you another one. It's out there on Twitter. Buffalo, it will be the second meeting this time after the Sharks won a 5-3 victory over the Sabres at SAP. But by the way, the lowest attendance in SAP history. That was interesting, back on November 2nd. Finally, the Philadelphia Flyers, who the Sharks just beat in overtime. But remember, that was against Felix. That was not against Martin. I will imagine that we will see Martin because Ian needs a haircut. So,
shit, do I ever.
So we go around the NHL, and these are going to be really cool. Look, as we expected, and it feels like this was announced yesterday, but it also feels like it was announced 5 months ago. The NHL finally announced they were pulling out of the Olympic participation. Oh, no! Anyway.
I'm bummed.
Yeah. Oh, Who cares?
I don't know. It sucks, but I think it's necessary.
Yes. The Flames have pulled out of a new arena deal in Calgary. Does that mean that they're going to move anywhere? Probably not.
No, it's just they want a better deal.
Yeah, I think their ownership group is kind of shady too. But whatever.
Yeah, it's negotiating in public, man. They're just negotiating through the media. They'll get it sorted out again because they'll be like, oh, these extra fees, and we want the city to pay for all of them, and eventually they'll pay their share, and we'll be back to normal. Calgary's not going anywhere.
So the NHL, they pull out of the Olympic participation because of the Rona. And then what happened? Oh, World Juniors got it canceled.
Dumb. And let me tell you why it's dumb. Like, obviously, the IWA, the International Hockey Federation, they have their own COVID rules. And I think their COVID rules were a little bit like one guy tests positive and the entire team goes into quarantine, right? Which is fine. If that's the way they want to do it, it's fine. But if that's the case, then why aren't they in their own hotel? Like, Hockey Canada can't, and the IIHF can't afford to put them in a hotel all by themselves and not with the general public. Like, such a clown show run operation. I feel really bad because, like, one of the best, some of the best hockey you'll watch all year, bar none. And for two, like, this is, for some of those kids, like, this is as good as it gets. That's the biggest thing they will ever do, and they played a couple of games and went home.
Yeah, that's some bullshit. You look at Eklund. Eklund is like, fuck you.
Well, and yeah, they say, oh well, like you said, poor planning on the COVID front, and then they say, oh well, we have to go, we have to cancel the tournament because of X, Y, and Z, and then there's all the backlash on Twitter, and it's like, well, we're gonna try to bring it back. It's like, if only you had just planned well from the jump, But
yeah, I think, like, again, like, I'm not here to argue with anyone about COVID and COVID protocols and everything, but I don't understand why, if the guy is, like, isolate that dude and let the rest play like every other sport.
Mm-hmm.
They're all vaccinated, so it seems really bad they canceled the tournament over what sounds like 4 cases. Like, it seems like a overreaction for something that's not going anywhere.
And let's just mention this for a hot minute. If you get double vaxxed, you get the booster, whatever.
Fully vaxxed.
Fully vaxxed, whether that means 2 shots and boosted or just the 2 shots, whatever. It doesn't mean you're not going to catch it.
Mm-hmm.
It just means that your chances of going to the hospital, if you do get it, go down way big time.
Right. Yeah. It's not that. It's not. It's not,
but there's a lot of fucking morons out there. They're like, oh, I got both the shots. Why did I catch this? And it's like,
because there's different kinds of vaccines, right? Yeah. Like there's some, like the polio vaccine, which have almost completely eradicated the virus, right? Like smallpox. Smallpox isn't a thing anymore.
Absolutely.
This isn't that kind of vaccine.
It's just, it's just that idea. It's like, oh, I'm vaccinated, so I should never catch it, right? And it's like, no, you're a fucking idiot. You clearly don't know what it means, but whatever. Yeah. Any takeaways from the Winter Classic? Any fun to be had from Minnesota?
I thought the aesthetic and everything looked really good.
It looked like it was cold as fuck.
Yeah,
it's pretty, but like the novelty is completely worn off for me.
Yeah, I don't know.
I always feel like, and it's totally pure coincidence, but I always feel like the outdoor games are really close games and they kind of keep you glued to your seat a little bit. I'll be honest, during this Winter Classic, the Blues, when they started taking off, I took a nap.
All right. Look, for those of you who don't know, because it seemed to be going back and forth on Reddit and social media, blah, blah, blah. Either way, Hockey Jerk is going to get a close-up look at these motherfuckers pretty goddamn soon because the All Star game is being played in that Vegas.
I was going to say with that first photo.
Well, no, okay. So, that was my point. So this is evidently the jerseys. After a couple years of using the actual team crest for the player, if he was a Sharks player, the Sharks crest, and so on and so forth. Evidently, the NHL is moving back to using the NHL crest. If you look at the jerseys here that were leaked that were supposed to be used for 2022, they might look somewhat familiar, as the color scheme and everything is kind of similar from a decade ago. I'm just going to say right now, these suck. And the reason why I say that, I really like the idea of the player wearing the, like, if you want one squad to wear a particular color scheme and the other set, that's fine. But wear the shield that you're representing. That's me.
Well, I disagree because they're all
Fuck
there
you.
to they're all there they're all there to represent the NHL, and it's an NHL event. So to me it makes sense to wear the NHL crest. And obviously
So did you hate the last 2 seasons then?
I did. And
well, fuck you.
And you know, they're gonna have their respective team logo on the shoulder, so that's fine. You know, my issue, and I really like these jerseys from just an independent design standpoint. I think the colors are nice, the designs are nice. I really like these jerseys, but within the context of where the All-Star game is and what the theme of the All-Star game in Las Vegas is, these make no sense to me because historically we've seen the jerseys color and in some cases design match the host team, and I always go back to 2017.
So the stars on the sleeves should be replaced with like what? An A, a J, a K, and a Q to represent like Ace, Jack, Queen, King.
Anyway,
well, it's in Las Vegas, my brother.
I'm talking colors, you know, and I think you know I go back to
everyone.
The LA All-Star game and the Tampa Bay All-Star game, those jerseys were ugly. But in terms of matching the theme of the host city, I thought they both hit it out of the park. This is kind of the opposite. Nice jerseys, but don't really match the theme of the host city.
I would agree with that. I still look at this and I go, no. For me, the NHL, they were onto something by using a monochrome version.
Yeah. Oh,
of the
cool black and charcoal. That's so fun to watch.
I'm not saying that it's fun, but I'm saying I liken it to like football, where in the Pro Bowl, the guys, they wear, you know, the jersey of whatever conference that they're representing, whether it's the American or National, but they still wear the helmet from the team that they represent. Just like in baseball, they might wear the National or American League, but they wear their hat. I feel like this could have... I just like the fact where all of the players, whether they play for the Eastern Conference or the Western Conference, you can represent that by the color of the jersey you're wearing, but there still needs to be an acknowledgement of the team that you're representing.
Be on the shoulders. But yeah,
that's why there'll be a logo.
I feel like the shoulders, that's for me, it's like, well, hell, it might as well just be a patch on their ass. Like, no one's going to see it. You know what I mean?
No, I don't.
But, okay.
I think it's fine.
Okay, well, fuck you. Let's get on to the dark horses and clear this shit out. Jerks Canucks have climbed out of the basement. They're doing so much better, just a scotch above Seattle. So it helps. They went on that ridiculous 6-game winning streak. Then they had like an OTL or something. But either way, they've won one. Look, the bottom line is Vancouver has 35 points, and they are only 2 points behind my Kings right now. It's going to be interesting to see how the second half of this shit works out, because my dark horse, of course, was the Los Angeles Kings. Right now, as it stands, if you go, you scroll up, you hit the little wild card button, you're going, fuck, LA right now, they're only a point out of the wild card. They're better than San Jose right now. Meanwhile, Vancouver, 3 points out. But again, there's still another half a season to go. So Jerk and I, we're going to have a lot of fun watching this shit as it proceeds. Martin Jones.
Those teams above Vancouver, though, also have like games in hand.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, fuck you.
So I don't
jerk.
think the Canucks are as close as they look.
Yeah. F you, jerk.
Sorry.
Martin Jones' save percentage is now at 906. He only needs 8 more starts to complete the 20 start threshold. I don't. Is Kata Hot still on protocol? Or did he get out yet?
No, he's still there.
Okay, then. Well,
It's
then,
worth mentioning as well. Martin Jones could start every remaining game of the season, but if he's not 915 or above, it doesn't matter.
yes, but
mentioning.
there are 2 criteria that needs to be satisfied.
Sure.
I'm just elucidating that we're very close to one of them. As long as he doesn't play any of his former teams, we might have a chance at this.
I don't know. I mean, I think if you look at the big picture and you look at a lot of his starts, like he had that really hot start that has really.
Oh, dude, he was 3-0 and then.
Yeah, and the save percentage in those games were just like obscene, and that's kind of. Yeah, if he plays the way he's played for the rest of the season, he's gonna dip below 9 pretty quick.
To the happiness of your wife, and when she looks at your hair.
It's funny because she's like, she every once in a while she'd be like, so Martin Jones not doing good still? Yeah, okay, good.
All right, let's hit up the kids.
She doesn't have to send the divorce papers yet.
Let's hit up the kids here.
Ooh, Barracuda.
So we'll hit this real quick. I mean, there's some postponements, but like the CUDA 4-1 victory over the Eagles in Colorado. CUDA netted a pair of power play goals while Melnichuk made 34 saves. VL in this one had an opener and the empty netter in between. Chmielewski and Habgawaks both scored with the man advantage. On this one, because Weatherby got that send down, he got an assist and a +2 in his AHL debut. They would follow that up, of course, with a shutout. And it's that they got shut out. Barracuda losing to the Eagles 5-0. The first shutout that the Barracuda saw since opening night at Bakersfield. Then there were a couple postponements versus Bakersfield versus Stockton. But boom, they did play 2 more versus Stockton. One of them being a 4-0 victory over Stockton. Goals coming from Nick Merkley, who got a goal and an assist. Blickfeld, who netted 2 goals. And Weinger getting a goal. Sam Harvey, who gets a shutout. Played 7 games for the CUDA last season, 11 for the Fort Wayne Comets this season. But boom, fucking victory, shutout over the Stockton Heat. It did not go as well today, where the Barracuda actually lost 4-1. Scott Reedy getting the only CUDA goal, of course, because that's what Scott Reedy does. Because right now, when it comes to the leaderboard, other minors, look, Scott Reedy, 14 goals, 23 points. Ryan Merkley, 16 assists. I got to feel like Reedy is going to get called up at some point. At some point, someone's going to look at Lane Peterson and go, what is it that you actually do here? And then they're going to say, Reedy, fetch me Reedy.
I don't know, because I feel like Reedy's like, if you're bringing up Reedy and then throwing him on the 4th line, what's the point? Like, he's a guy that you'd probably want to wait until you have an opening on your top 6, or
that wasn't the case
6.
with Kevin LeBanc.
Wow.
wait until they trade Hertl. It'll be fine.
That's it. That it'll be more than fine. When it comes to the prospects, names really haven't changed. Brandon Coe, fucking killing it. 55 in 31 games. Robbins, 41 points in 31 games. Daniil Gushkin, 29 points in 22 games. Ozzy Weisblatt, 27 and 28. Gannon Larocque, 26 and 30. That rounds out your top 5. Let's finish this shit out with our tweet of the week, as we always do. And this is one that Jerk and I laughed our fucking asses off at, because tell Hertl to man up, bring Kane back, trade garbage players for good ones. Now, I'm not even going to get into the whole Hertl thing or the Kane thing. I'm just going to get into the whole trade garbage players for good ones, because that's so fucking easy to do.
I do that every day on Cap Friendly.
Don't you?
I trade all garbage players
Of
for
course
good ones.
you do.
It's easy. It's so easy.
Well, it's like it just reminds me of a few years ago The first year the Sharks missed the playoffs in this recent stretch, where it's like you have people on Twitter like, well, the trade deadline comes and goes and they're freaking out. Why didn't we acquire picks for Melker Karlsson? It's like, I don't know, dude. Like, really think about it.
How did we not get 2 firsts for Melker?
Yeah.
That's the thing. We see it so many times where there are players on the Sharks that people will fall in love with, like Sharks fans, Sharks personalities, whatever you call this podcast. Like, there are players on the Sharks that people will fall in love with, and then their contract is up, they sign with another team, and it's like they don't even crack the NHL roster.
Dude, I'm at this point, I see that tweet and I'm going, wait a minute, are you telling me that I can like take my trash bag to like Blue Line Pizza and get like a nice pie?
Yeah. That's how I understand.
Trade bad players for good ones. I mean,
trade garbage for good. I'm down.
It's easy.
Just saying. Oh, dear Lord. All right, so it's time to wrap it up, kids. So make sure to check us out. Hello. Our latest one-on-ones. We talked to Vancouver Sports Talk Radio God, Matt Sakaris. He's always a fun chat. I also spoke recently to Drew Remenda, and if you don't know, that motherfucker has some stories. Let me let you know. So always interesting tales and takes to be seen there. Follow us on social media, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Reddit. It's all good. If you know the Discord link, then you are among the cool kids. If you ever want to support the show, we would totally appreciate it. You can use the super chat option during the live shows, but we absolutely appreciate the Venmo option where we actually get 100% of your donation rather than having to give half of it to Google. Those fucking guys. You know what I'm saying. You can follow him at hockey_jerk. You can follow that other guy over at ian.blogs.hockey. You can follow
Ian Blogs Hockey. There's no dots.
There's no dots. Well, goddamn, why did you not fucking correct me earlier? You can see it on the screen, for fuck's sakes.
You're right. I don't know. I just left it be. I didn't
so it's
I'm the guest here.
Okay, so it's Ian Blogs
Hockey.
There are no dots, for Christ's sakes. So you want to follow him, Ian Blogs Hockey. Me, AJ._.strong.com.something. I have a lot of dots on mine. If you ever have any questions or topics you want to hear us bat around the horn, we can do that. Send them to @TealTownUSA on Twitter. Don't forget to join us on the Discord channel where the chat never stops. Again, if you're lucky to get that link, enjoy it. And with great power,
don't bring your bots.
Yeah, comes great responsibility. Check the show notes for the link. And remember to leave your take in the comment section of this YouTube video if you weren't able to watch it live. So, famous last words. Mr. Ian Reed, you are the guest. You go first.
Famous last words. Thanks for having me on, guys. This was a lot of fun. When the Sharks do good, it's good. And when the Sharks do bad, it's bad. It's pretty simple. Trade bad players for good ones.
Yeah, trade garbage for good. Jerkman.
Easy.
Announce the Barabanov extension. That's all I have to say. Either that or let him keep playing and trade him for something nice.
Oh, I will take that.
I mean, you gave up Suomela for him. I mean, anything would be found money at this point.
Yep.
Okay. See, and that's a great point. We're talking about found money. We talked about the whole Doug Wilson best and worst moves, and I think I was inaccurate. I talked about the Thornton deal. I talked about Boyle. I talked about Brent Burns, but honorable mention should probably be picking Balsers up waivers, getting Barabanov for Suomela, and the Dahlin deal. You got to give him credit for those.
It hasn't been all bad.
Yeah, you have to give him credit for those. For me, I'm just I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but it's been pretty fucking good here so far. I'm damn close. Hockey Jerk has seen the full screen cap of this, and like I said, right now, the Sharks 17, 15-1. At this point, I had them 18-15. That's pretty fucking close. Now, you go back to good news and bad news. The bad news is the back half, the back nine, if you will, if you're on the golf course, it doesn't look good. It's not going to get you in a playoff thing. So hopefully My picks on the back end go horribly wrong, but so far they've been pretty fucking good. Just saying. So, like I said earlier, remember to subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on social media. If you listen to us on a podcast platform such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, whatever, help us out. Do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button. Leave us a review. We would totally appreciate that. And you can find links to all our social media and podcast platforms in the YouTube description or SoundCloud below. Find everything on tealtownusa.com. Remember to check out our After Dark post-game shows following every single Sharks game. And the next one is, who the fuck are we playing? Detroit. Oh, Jesus Christ. Wow, what can go wrong there? So that's our show, everybody. Thanks for watching and listening. We will catch you for our next show, episode 147, 1 week from tonight. Good night, everybody, and have a great and happy new year.